For more on this, he can break down all the lies and all the censoring. Let's bring in Florida Congressman Greg Steube. Congressman, good to see you. So tell us, good to see you. Again, a lot of things happening in the world, but we're going to deal with censors tonight. What's going to happen with Tlaib Green and George Santos?
That's a great question, and I don't, standing right here, I don't know the answer to any of those, because I think we have people on both sides of the aisle who are going to vote for different portions of this. I do think it will go to a vote on Santos, but he needs 2/3 in order to be removed. I don't think you'll get there. I certainly won't vote to expel him, because I thought we were in a country where you were innocent until proven guilty. There hasn't been any findings from the ethics investigation. Until we have actual facts before us and not just allegations, I think it would be wholly premature to expel a member once either he pleads guilty, or if there is an adjudication or there's findings by an ethics commission. I think that determination is much different. But he needs 2/3 to get removed. I don't know if that happens. On the Tlaib censure resolution, there's a motion to table before that. And I do know that there's members on our side of the aisle that aren't going to vote to censor her, so they may vote to move to table it. So I honestly don't know how these are going to shake out tonight, but we'll see in probably an hour or so.
It's pretty riveting stuff. It would be interesting to see if there were a vote. If she was actually reprimanded, Congressman, she serves on 3 committees. She would be stripped potentially of those positions. There have to be some consequences, right, for actions like hers.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% support the resolution by Marjorie Taylor Greene to censor Rep. Tlaib for basically inciting a mob who came in here to the Capitol. Right behind me actually is where they were against House rules. There was a insurrection, if you want to call it that. And these individuals that are leftists are going to be treated very differently than those on January 6th by a politicized and weaponized DOJ.
You know, just on George Santos, again, yes, he has lied, but if that's the standard for removing members of Congress for lying, half the body is going to be gone, because everybody lies in Congress. And also, Republicans need his vote. He votes with the Republican team. You have a 4 or 5 seat majority. You can't lose George Santos. You need him in the House voting with the party. But let's go on to this, because as all this is all happening, Congress has to figure out what to do about sending money to Israel. It seems both sides of the aisle. From uber progressives who don't seem to care if the country survives or not, have decided the U.S. has to send something to Israel. And I just know.
Yeah, there's about 14.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's about $14 billion to replace the Iron Dome, and I thought Speaker Johnson did a really good job in tying that to the 87,000 IRS agents that the Biden administration forced on the American people. Tie it to that funding. For once, we're actually voting on dispersing money and doing a pay-for, which is required by the House rules that the Democrats have ignored my entire time here. And thankfully, Republicans are actually going to offset the spending that we're going to send to Israel with all of those weaponized IRS agents. So we're going to vote on that. I thought we were going to vote on that tonight. We're actually going to vote on that tomorrow. I suspect that that's going to pass the House, and we'll send that to the Senate, where Chuck Schumer is going to want to tack on Ukraine aid and tack on other things completely unrelated to the crisis and the war in Israel, and send that back over.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, right? The president has also said that he'll veto it, that there's no chance. They want a bundle. They want a bundle so they can get what they want done, which is always the way they seem to do things, Congressman.
Yeah, and they want to tie it to things that make it very difficult for a person like me to vote against. But we have a spending problem in Washington. We need to offset our spending. And if we're going to do the type of things that we need to do to support our actual ally, Ukraine is not an official ally. Israel is. We need to support them, who've been brutally attacked by a terrorist organization. We need to do what we can to support them. But Biden and Schumer are going to do everything they can to tie this to other spending proposals that they have, which shows you exactly where their heart is. They care more about things like Ukraine funding when we need to be funding Israel and all of these other things they want to tie to this, instead of what we need to do to move things forward.
And Ukraine funding is increasingly unpopular, and I think it's the Senate and Joe Biden, if it passes the Senate and the House, will be confronted with the fact of, do you care more about IRS funding, more IRS agents to go after more middle-class Americans, or do you care about helping your ally Israel out? That's a really tough place to be. So they can make threats that they would veto this bill, but I think they'd be hard-pressed to take IRS agents over the allies in the Middle East.
Well, and it puts a lot of Democrats on the floor in a very tough position. Are you going to support our ally Israel, or are you going to vote against it because you don't want to defund the 87,000 additional IRS agents that have only been in place since the funding's only been in place since the beginning of this year? So those are the type of things that they're going to have to make tough decisions on, regardless of what happens on the Senate side. Put those House Democrats on the bill for whether they're going to vote to support Israel or not.
And I'm sure there's going to be some uber progressives like Tlaib who are going to say absolutely not. But the majority, I imagine, would feel that this is a worthy cause and long overdue. Congressman, we want to get to this because you served with the Army in Iraq back in 2006, 2007. Our forces over there right now, they've come under attack by Iran proxy forces. Curious to see where you think this goes from here, what the reaction should be. Last week, I believe it was, we sent on Friday 900 additional troops to help. But obviously, look, this situation is going to intensify. Iran is making it clear that they are going to come at Israel from all different sides. And this could get quite complicated for some time.
Well, first of all, if we have American forces that are being attacked and we know exactly where those attacks are coming from, we should be responding in kind to defend our troops. We should be responding preemptively to take out those locations that are launching these drones that are attacking our service members. Since when in America did we allow our service members stationed in installations who are being attacked and injured, by the way, without responding in kind? It's taken Biden weeks to do anything at all, and we need to respond in kind. If we know that these drone attacks are coming from Shia militia groups in Iraq or in Iran, then we need to take action and respond accordingly to protect our service members who are deployed over there.
You know, it goes back to this issue that Joe Biden released the $6 billion, unfroze the $6 billion. They've all said they could refreeze the money. We see that's not true. It seems like that money's gone. But minimally, he could enforce our sanctions on Iranian oil and say, listen, you can't sell this oil to China. And it seems like Joe Biden's not doing any of those things and just letting our servicemen and women take incoming fire.
Yeah, just the sanctions alone, and I don't have the exact number in front of me, but just the sanctions alone have opened up billions of dollars in revenue to the Iranians because they're now able to sell oil that they otherwise wouldn't under the Trump administration that actually had sanctions on Iranian production of oil and gas. That's the type of action that we can take in a diplomatic fashion to really put the screws on Iran and not allow them to be able to fund this type of activity. But we're in this place where we are today because of the decisions that the Biden administration has made to appease Iran, and that's not and should not be the public policy of the United States.
You know, they've made to the tune tens of billions of dollars as a result of not enforcing these sanctions. I thought the same thing when the Russia-Ukraine conflict was about to happen, too. I was thinking to myself, why is he threatening sanctions? Why don't you use sanctions now to deter them from moving in? And as I see this get worse, I see, you know, American troops going over, even if in small numbers. I'm saying, why aren't you imposing and reinforcing these sanctions as a first step, not a last step? Real quick, Congressman.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. You can avoid a lot of this activity by strong leadership and strong economic sanctions that this administration is not doing, that the Trump administration did, which is why you didn't see this type of activity under President Trump.
One of Florida's finest, Greg Steube. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Good to see you.